Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Shut the Front Door podcast. My name is Johnny Kazemka with Harvey, Goodman, Realtor, and today we are broadcasting out of the St. Clairs, Ohio office studio and talking about a rather, I don't want to say sensitive, but we'll say rather debatable subject, and that is about pricing in the Ohio Valley as far as the housing market is concerned. Right now we are live, so anything that you do, any likes, follows, comments, shares should be interactive. You should see them on the screen behind me. I open the comment section for debate because today we're talking about, is it possible to underprice a home in today's market in the Ohio Valley? And my short, sweet answer is no, a resounding no. I don't think it is possible. I think it's very easily possible to overprice a property, but I don't think it's possible to underprice. And if you don't believe me, again, open in the comment section, but give me 5-10 minutes to win you over. This will be a relatively short podcast for today. Anyways, what do I mean by that? Well, pricing. Let's first start talking about pricing, and not just in real estate. Let's talk about just in general. What sets the tone for pricing just in general, and whether houses, stocks, cars, shoes, groceries, I don't care what it is that you're buying. My belief is that there are two variables, and really only two variables, that sets the tone for pricing. That's what a buyer is willing to give and what a seller is willing to accept. That is it. And what a buyer is willing to give is predicated upon demand. Okay, demand for any number of different reasons. So now let's fast forward to the real estate market. What is driving demand today? Well, demand certainly isn't voluntary. It's not as if people are jumping into the market because of taking advantage of lower interest rates. That was 2 or 3 years ago. Demand today is being driven by shortage of supply. So the supply has been completely shored up by the fact of interest rates and financial hardship that people have, felt just with inflation, and again, the interest rates don't help, but just higher cost of goods and services across the board. So what happens typically in the Ohio Valley is that we remain relatively comfortable during economic hardship. When other parts of the country start crashing, we are somewhat immune to that. In fact, we've done several podcasts on this exact subject. They're all on Spotify, by the way. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please check us out on Spotify. At any rate, right now, let me go to the screen here. I just saw this with our PR, public relations administrator, Tim Judkins, had put this on his social media earlier. U.S. home prices just hit another all-time high. This was as of July 8th. Of this year. And what that basically is saying is the market has not slowed down as far as pricing is concerned. You would think as interest rates go up, prices would go down. Well, it hasn't happened. And it hasn't happened because, again, for what I call the ugly side of demand. Let me go back to my main screen. The ugly side of demand. Those higher interest rates have led to a shortage. The shortage has led to higher demand, and that is what's driving the buyer cycle. And you're competing with buyers now that are buying out of what I call the 3 Ds, death, divorce, and diapers. Those are the 3 things in life that, generally speaking, will throw anybody into an absolute need to upsize, relocate, downsize, whatever. That's what you're facing. And right now, the Ohio Valley, right as we speak, I want to say the median home sale price nationwide is about $360,000. In Belmont County, it's $180,000. That's the median. We are half of what the average cost, the median cost would be to buy a house compared to the rest of the nation. We are a cheaper alternative. So when people face financial hardship, they will oftentimes leave where they are, whether it's in cost of living, they will return home and come here and find it more affordable. And COVID taught a lot of people that they can work from home. So a lot of people are leaving these higher, more expensive places to live, finding the Ohio Valley or similar places across the country like it, and investing into those because it's more cost effective. It happens all the time. So why do I say you can't underprice a home? I want to buy a house right now, but I refuse to pay ridiculous pricing in this poor valley. Well, Terry, you're not wrong. And that's what we're talking about specifically on this podcast. And thanks. I'm actually got a few new modules. I think yours, very first comment on the new module. So I like the way that looks better. But you're not wrong. Prices keep going up and up and up. So I'll ask you, Terry, do you think it's possible to underprice a home? And my answer, again, is no. And the reason why is there's really 3 alternatives when it comes to pricing. You can either A, you can price the house below what the fair market value would be. You can price the house at, I would say B, at the fair market value, what it would be. Or C, you can price it above fair market value. And fair market value is basically just the value that a reasonable buyer would be ready and willing to purchase a house or a car or whatever, what the market will allow for. So we're going to use that term over and over again, fair market value. So let's go with option A. If you price it below fair market value, what will happen? Well, if let's just say you had a house that was fair market value of $200,000, if you listed that thing at $180,000, you would attract every buyer who was looking to buy at that price range, and they would see this as a tremendous deal. You would probably get more than one offer. In fact, you'd get several offers, which creates what we call a bidding war. Okay, if you get a bidding war, you usually can ask for highest and best, and buyers start to bid against each other and price themselves upwards. It actually raises price. Let's just say you went with option B and you priced it exactly at the fair market value. Okay, you might get a buyer, a ready and willing buyer, and you can get it at $200,000 or what have you, but you limit the amount of activity that you would get. And then option C, oftentimes I hear sellers say this all the time. I want to list my house higher than what I truly want, because I want to reserve that extra price to negotiate back downward. So I'm going to list it at $220,000, hoping that I get an offer of $200,000. If you price it lower, you are going to screw yourself into the with no negotiation. So Terry, you're on the opposite side of the fence. You're on option C, if I'm reading this correctly. So you're the person I'm talking to directly right now, and I hear this all the time. This is perfect. Option C. Okay, I want to have more meat on the bone, if you will, and I understand it. But what happens in that particular context? Okay. In my opinion, you limit the amount of activity. When you hire me as a listing agent, when you hire me to sell a house, I've never sold a house in my entire career. Houses sell themselves. What you hire me for is you want me to sell the sizzle, not the steak. You hire me because of my podcasting here, the ability to reach a broader audience. I'll throw it on Realtor.com and Zillow and Trulia and all the IDX sites. I'll throw it on all my social media presence. Anywhere that, if you list your house with me, if you go and search for Ohio Valley houses for sale, you are going to find your house on the first page of Google. That's what you hire me for. I cast a much wider net, get a much wider audience. That much wider audience increases demand increases price. Okay, that's the whole purpose. So when, Terry, like you're saying, if you price it lower, you're going to screw yourself with the negotiation room. I understand where you're coming from, but I do disagree, because I think what happens, and I see it all the time, and this is not a sales pitch. This is legitimate. This happens all the time. When you price it low, you will get more than one buyer, and the buyers start competing against each other. In fact, that's the whole reason that auctions exist. Auctions start off at a base price, at a reserve price, right? They start off low to create the buzz, to create the demand, and by the time that the auction is over, you have 2 or 3 maybe ready and willing people that are competing with each other. And those people raise the price back up to the fair market value. Now, it's not as if pricing low is going to get you more than if you were to price it higher. We're talking about fair market value, the reasonable expectation of what a buyer is willing to give. Okay, if you price it lower and you start having buyers compete with each other, then they may see. I hope I convinced you. Did I win you over? If I did, I'm gonna let me know. But it does. It makes absolute sense, and not just in value, because people equate value specifically so aggressively, so hyper concentrated on monetary value that they omit from the conversation other factors. Factors like building inspections, factors like appraisal and earnest money and things. And this might be difficult, Terry, especially if I build houses, I don't sell them. Well, yeah, I mean, and the same kind of goes for that as far as even bidding with buyers. But we'll get to that as a different talking point on a different podcast someday. In fact, Terry, if you're building houses, this seat right here is open. I would love for you to come into the studio one day and maybe even have a chat, because this is always open for debate. But the whole point is, when you're selling, right, you try to leverage positional power as much as possible. And you might have a buyer willing to raise their price to meet the terms of another buyer. They might be willing to waive inspections or make it easier. 3 full price offers. Let's just say you have 3 buyers. One is full price cash, one is full price conventional, and one is full price government-backed financing. The seller in that particular instance is going to take the full price cash, because there's lesser bureaucracy with government-backed financing or conventional-backed financing, or whatever that you will. Why take the path of most resistance for the same monetary value? So when you create the demand, one of the easiest things you can do, let's just back up. We already said demand is what creates price. One of the easiest things you can do to create demand is lowering the price. In fact, if you start too high, I understand it. If you start too high, you want to have that negotiation room. I'm not saying that tactic doesn't work. I'm just saying that it doesn't seem to work as well in this market in the Ohio Valley as I've seen with other properties that are more aggressive. Because when you start too high, you might have to do a price reduction. You might have to do 2 price reductions. You might have to do several. And by the time you do 2 or 3 price reductions and the house has been on the market for 30 to 45 days, it does hinder some of the overall shine, the appeal to the buyers looking in the market. In other words, buyers start asking themselves, man, you haven't sold this house in 45 days. Why would I be the one that gives you a full price offer now? And if there's really no good answer to that. So again, one of the easiest things we can do to help with demand is to influence the price. So Terry, if you're still watching, we'd love to know your thoughts on the matter. If I converted you over to this side of the fence, and it's been a little while since I think last time we were talking, we were doing a Sunday Fun Day podcast. But I hope you're still watching. Hope you accept the invite. Let me know. Message me privately. But again, I don't have a crystal ball. Okay, I can't say that this strategy works for every single person and every single time. All I'm saying is in the Ohio Valley, where the market has been, it's been tumultuous this year. I try to advise that aggression is key. Aggressiveness when you're buying, aggressive when you're selling. And this matters as a buyer as well, because again, if you see something out there that is so well priced, it's not uncommon for people, you can do everything right in this market and still lose. You can, especially as a buyer. You can make all the right decisions. You can throw your best foot forward. It's that competitive. So if you're looking to buy or sell, consultation is always free. I would love to hear anybody else in the comment sections. And thank everybody for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Talk to you soon.